What's going on, everybody? It's Erica with Not Your Average EDC, and today we are going to do the Native5 Salt update. Is it week 1? Week 2? I can't recall which week it is of testing, but we're testing this all of April, and I want to give you guys an update. I apologize that I look like I just crawled out of a dumpster. It has been a very long day, and I'm not kidding. I just wrangled dogs. They weren't mine. They were dogs that I had to take care of and let out. And they're feral, so I have to, lasso them with a slip lead when I pin them behind the couch and try not to get bit. I am so sorry that I look like a mess. But I wanted to get this out to you guys because I have a whole bunch of videos to crank out, and this one is the one that everyone's asking about the most. So, update on the LC200N Spyderco. We're 14 days into testing. Buddy, if you're watching this, happy birthday. I love you very much. That's my brother. It's his birthday today. So if you're watching, I love you so, so much. Happy birthday. Hope you're having a great day. So this knife has become one of my favorite knives of all time. And I know I'm only 2 weeks in, but I can't explain how good this is, and I'm so glad that I decided to test this even though I didn't want to, because it's just like the Para 3. I thought I was going to absolutely hate this because my first go around with this model was just not, I wasn't a big fan. But the second time, man, I am obsessed. I really don't mind the back lock at all because it's so smooth. I don't mind that it takes me an extra half of a second to open and close it because of the lock back. That doesn't bother me at all. But this design is genius for me. The steel, I said before that it felt like a very toothy 154 cm. I kind of want to change that a little bit now that I'm 2 weeks in. It's feeling kind of like Magna Cut as well to me. So the Magna Cut, my most recent one on that Gen 3 mini spade from John at BGM Knives. That knife I have done a lot of sharpening with and stuff. It has a very thin edge. It's actually doing really well now that it has multiple edges on it. This is feeling a lot like that as well. And I think part of it is, it's super stainless just like Magna Cut is, but just it's toothy, but they're very fine teeth, I guess, and maybe that's why it reminds me of Magna Cut, which kind of makes sense because Spyderco will be taking Magna Cut and replacing the LC200N for their salt line, so that makes sense as to why they kind of feel similar. But it just, it kind of feels like a really good 154 and a little bit of Magna Cut. It's a very interesting steel, and I really, really like it. It's holding up great. I still have not, sharpened through this factory edge, and I think I'm actually going to do that tomorrow. I had some Japanese water stones delivered today, and I think I'm going to clean up the edge from what came from the factory and maybe see how it goes with my own edge, even though it doesn't really need it yet. I could strop this back and it would be perfect. But I'm almost getting nervous because we're halfway through the month, and I haven't needed to sharpen it yet, and it's if I keep putting it off, I might just, be stropping the whole time and not sharpening, and that's a huge part of my testing is sharpening as well. So, it does not need to be sharpened. It does not need the edge that refreshed, but I think I'm going to start at, a 220 grit, work my way up with those water stones that I got, and just see how the whole sharpening process goes and try to remove that factory edge pattern and see what happens. And just touching upon that, factory edges, moving through the steel, all that kind of stuff. I am not a metallurgist. I am not an engineer. I am not a scientist. I am none of those things at all. And the only thing I can do is tell you my experiences with things. That does not mean it is science. That is, my experience, really doesn't mean too much in the grand scheme of things, because I'm not going to I don't want to be a scientist. I just use knives and tell you guys what happens with them. So when I made the MagnaCut video yesterday, the update saying that the steel is much better and that the multiple sharpenings really helped, people started saying, oh, that's too bad that John sends his knives out with burnt edges, because that must have been it. It's not. He uses a cooling system when he does his edges. They're absolutely not burnt. I have been to his shop and watched him do all of this. They are not burnt at all. Just because a knife comes from the factory with an edge that does not hold, or is chippy, or is just having issues in general, that does not mean that the first thing that we say is, oh, it's burnt. Like, there are other things that can happen, guys, to result in a factory edge not working very well, not holding up, chipping, going dull, rolling, all that stuff. Like, there are many variables, including heat treat. And I'm not saying that there is something wrong with the heat treat, but from what I have been told and heard, it sounds like the heat treat, even if it, I kind of want to say, if it travels too far, or if it is uneven, the edge can be compromised, and that's why people say, like, do multiple sharpenings to get through to the good steel. So, like, when you do a hardness test, you generally will test up in this area from the information that I've read on and been told. Somewhere in this area, usually it's hidden. That's where you do the testing. And supposedly it can read different up here than it technically would down here. Now, like I said, I am not a professional. These are just things that I'm learning as to why edges, even from Benchmade, even from Spyderco, from reputable companies, they can come with edges that are kind of shot, that are chippy, and people seem to think that means it's burnt, or they dull very quickly, and people seem to say that that's like fatigued steel that you need to work through, and that's why people recommend, that's why many professional knife sharpeners recommend just putting your own edge on from the get-go, because the factory edge may not fare well because of numerous reasons that I mentioned earlier. It could be multiple things, but it's not always a burnt edge. So for everyone that was assuming that John sent me the knives with burnt edges, that is not what happened. Like I said, he uses a cooling system. He does not burn his edges. What he does is he puts a 220 grit edge on, and then he uses a green compound on a belt, and he strops it, but it makes the edge convex, and that does not work very well for all steel. So if you don't know what a convex edge is, it's when the edge is a little curved on each side. It's convex. So with the edge, with John's edges being sent out stropped, polished, convexed, that right there is enough to, with some steels, you may have to work through that convex and flatten it back out. That will not work very well with all steels. So I'm figuring that the MagnaCut, I saw that it came with a convex polished edge. I had to work through that, but I do also believe that because the knife was so thin, it really thinned out. It's a full flat grind. I'm thinking that maybe I had to work through some possibly slightly fatigued steel to get to that good stuff inside, if that makes any sense. And guys, I will tell you right now from my experience, a lot of companies send out knives with burnt edges or fatigued steel, or wonky edge bevels that are uneven and compromised cutting, or even the edge itself is very rough. And I've had a Benchmade bug out come to me from the factory that the edge bevel was so shaky, it looked like somebody was literally like shaking when they did the final edge. It was choppy. That's the word I'm looking for. The edge bevel was literally choppy. Now the knife was sharp. Like the edge was toothy. It was sharp. It absolutely cut, but it also broke. The edge broke pretty easily because I think it was just it just wasn't a very strong edge. It was very, very choppy and textured, and it literally just looked like somebody went like this on the grinder, and it was just like waves. So it's not... everyone does it, guys. I've had Spydercos come to me like that. I've had Benchmades come to me like that. John's edges are very, very clean. They're just also polished and convexed. So, I will let you guys know how the sharpening goes with this. I just can't speak more highly of it. It's such a nice knife. It's so ergonomic and comfortable, for my hand. I don't have big hands, but I keep handing this to other people to see what they think about it. And Nicole can't stand this thing. She doesn't like the size, and she says that this pocket clip really digs into her hand with the way that she holds it. That does not happen for me at all. Like I said, I don't have massive hands for a girl, but I guess maybe I have kind of wide palms or something, or for a girl they're a little bigger, I don't know. But this knife just feels fantastic for me. It really, really does. And just to emphasize how much I am using this, because I know my job is a little different than most people. So I used this for 8 hours straight today. And when I say I used it for 8 hours straight, I mean literally 8 hours of cutting. So I work at a farm, but we have a farm stand building where we also get things delivered. Like we carry a lot of other local vendors' products. It's a very local farm stand, and we like to basically team up with other vendors that are all local to us and bring in artisan cheeses and raw milk and homemade, handmade candles and homemade bread and cookies, all that kind of stuff. So Thursday is our delivery day. We have at minimum 3 massive deliveries come through. The first one comes at like 9 o'clock, the second one comes around 11 o'clock, and the third one comes at 1 o'clock, and each order that gets delivered takes approximately 2 hours to complete. And each order, the first one brings, I would say, 20 boxes usually. The second order brings around 20, 25 boxes. The third one is a Mack truck full of produce. Front to back, Mack truck filled with produce. And we have to take all of that stuff out of the packages, price it, break down the boxes, break down the packaging, and we have a cooler where we store everything, and I cut the, you know how on a cardboard box it has the 4 flaps that close. I cut those off so that we can see into the box clearly what's in there and take it out and restock with ease, and you can see what you're doing. So the entire cooler, which is massive, I cut the flaps off of every single cardboard box on top of processing all of those orders and deliveries and packages and stuff. And that's on top of just my daily use of the stuff that I have mentioned before in my video, like home stuff, and then at work, just constantly trimming things, trimming plants, and yeah, so just constant use with this. So you can imagine how incredible this LC200N steel is if I've only had to strop it twice in 2 weeks, haven't even needed to actually sharpen it yet, and I'm using it all day, every day, and especially on delivery days, 8 hours straight. Like, the knife doesn't close. I don't close this knife. It is open. It is on my workbench with me, or in the cooler, like on the rack with me, or on a table with me, or in my hand. Like, it very rarely closes on a Thursday, and it is cutting all day long. So this steel is incredible. it's incredible, guys. I can't believe it. Enough gushing over this. I also wanted to mention that the original Magna Cut knife, the mini Javelin from BGM Knives, everyone's been asking what I did with that because it kind of just like disappeared, and then I went on to the second one. I sharpened the crap out of it on a 325 diamond stone, never went back and tried it again or anything, and I actually packaged it up and sent it over to Bumblebee EDC. He has an Instagram and a YouTube channel. His name is Jeremy. He's one of my best friends in the whole world. I packaged it up and just sent it to him. He had no idea. He just got it yesterday, and he's like, what the heck is this? And the reason I did that was because I am trying to think of ways to make this as unique and fair as possible. I do not want to be like other knife reviewers. No offense to anybody. Like I don't want to like copy other people and do things that they're doing. Like I'd rather try different things. So I didn't even try that edge. I have no idea about it at all. And all I did was package it up and send it to Jeremy and say, beat the shit out of it. Like basically at the end, tell me if that recent sharpening did anything at all, or if that knife the entire way through is cruddy. So that will be really interesting because Jeremy does like a lot of pretty crazy testing on his channel, and just in life he loves I almost want to call it like torture testing. Like he just doesn't care. Like he will record himself doing crazy stuff to his knives to see if they can make it or not. And I'm really curious to see what he says about that knife, if it lives or not through his testing, because I wanted somebody else's opinion on it. I'm already working with one Magna Cut knife. I do not want to have any preconceived notions about having a bad experience with that old one. So I sent it off to someone new, and I was just like, honestly, tell me what you think. Because either way, whatever happens, I don't have a preference as to how it goes. So yeah, this knife is just fantastic. I will be doing a bunch more videos the next couple days. I have a lot of ideas for content. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the support. Go use your shit. Go use your shit. It'll be so much more fun for you if you use your shit. I will see you guys on the next video. Love you all. Stay safe.